Chapter 3295. Spacetime Imprisonment. When Jianghu Shuang stepped out of the space passage and appeared in the void above Saha Island, the entire Saha Island fell silent at first. Then, countless eyes looked at Jianghu Shuang in unison. In an instant, Jianghu Shuang became the focus of everyone's attention. Heavenly Sword Marquis? Is he Heavenly Sword Marquis? Finally, we meet the immortal saint who defeated the Rule Master. The experts from various sects chatted casually and looked at Jianghu Shuang with different eyes. Some praised him, some were amazed, and some sneered. When Jianghu Shuang appeared, the experts from the three saint realms who had been hiding around the island immediately made their moves. Bus. A vast power of time and space suddenly rose and spread out. The power of time and space spread so fast that it almost covered the entire island the moment it rose. All the experts on the island sensed the difference in their own space and time. This is spacetime imprisonment? It's spacetime imprisonment, but it's not just one expert who used this technique. Who could it be? Many experts looked around trying to find the person who used spacetime imprisonment. However, they could not find any trace of him. Spacetime imprisonment could only be used by experts who had extremely high attainments in the use of spacetime. In the entire Divine Beginning realm, there were not many people who were qualified to use this move, and any one of them was a top principles master. Now, it was obvious that such an expert had arrived at the Saha Island. Spacetime imprisonment? Sure enough. Jianghu Shuang narrowed his eyes slightly. He was not surprised to see this scene in the surrounding spacetime. His life-saving ability was very strong, and one of the life-saving methods was the third move of the spacetime divine skill, spacetime teleportation. Once he mastered this move, he could go almost anywhere even though the world was vast. In the Blood Wave realm, he relied on this move to make the three experts of the Saint realm unable to do anything to him. There was only one way to restrict spacetime teleportation, and that was to imprison spacetime. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Only by using a great method to completely imprison the surrounding spacetime could spacetime travel not be used. The three Saint realms had long known this, so since they were going to make a move this time, they would naturally be well prepared. They would certainly imprison spacetime from the beginning so that he could not use spacetime travel to escape. According to Temple Master Bai Xing, there are only a dozen or so experts in the Divine Beginning realm who are qualified to use spacetime travel. More than half of them are in the Temporal Temple. I wonder who is using spacetime travel now. Jianghu Shuang frowned slightly. He was also looking for the person who had cast the spacetime imprisonment, but unfortunately he did not find anything. At this moment, Master Qingyan, I didn't expect that the three Saint realms would invite you here this time. They really put in a lot of effort. An angry voice sounded. Then, a black-clothed elder rushed over from the void outside the Saha Island and appeared beside Jianghu Shuang in the blink of an eye. Lord Hunyuan. Jianghu Shuang and the people from the Temporal Temple immediately saluted. It was Hunyuan Master who had escorted them into the Blood Wave realm. However, Hunyuan Master ignored them and looked at the void in the distance, his eyes filled with anger. Ha Hunyuan, you and I haven't seen each other for many years. I remember the last time we met was in the universe battlefield, but we fought together. A hearty laughter sounded in the void. A green figure gradually appeared in the void. This green figure was a middle-aged man with long green hair. He was handsome and unrestrained, and the smile on his face was extremely gentle as if he was chatting with Master Hunyuan. Seeing this person, the surrounding void immediately let out a wave of exclamations. Qingyan Master. It's actually him. The three great saint realms are really generous. Not only is Qingyan Master powerful, but his use of the spacetime principles has also reached the peak. However, Qingyan Master has always ignored the fights between the various forces in the Divine Beginning realm. He only wants to increase his own strength. It's rumored that someone once paid a huge price to ask him for help, but he didn't pay any attention to it. But this time he actually made an exception? It's not an exception. In my opinion, the three holy realms must have given Master Qingyan a condition that he couldn't refuse. Regardless of whether Master Qingyan really doesn't care about the competition between the forces of the Divine Beginning realm, if there really is a treasure or condition that drives him crazy, he would definitely not refuse. The crowd was discussing animatedly. Master Hunyuan stared at Master Qingyan who appeared, but his face was extremely unsightly. Qingyan, you know that you've fought alongside me before. This time, can you give me some face and leave? Haha, Primal Chaos, you and I do have some friendship. If it were anything else, since you have stepped in, I would have left without saying anything. But this time I can't. The conditions offered by the three great saint realms are enough to drive me crazy and make me disregard everything. So, I can only apologize. Qingyan Master said. Qingyan, your use of the spacetime principles has indeed reached the peak. But don't forget that in terms of spacetime, my temporal temple is the strongest in the divine beginning realm. So what if you have restricted spacetime? Once the experts of our temporal temple arrive, we can completely break your spacetime restriction in an instant. Just based on these methods of yours, you want to keep Heavenly Sword Marquis? Isn't it a little laughable? Primal Chaos Master said. Yes, you're right. Qingyan Master nodded slightly. With just my strength alone, facing the many experts of the temporal temple, it's impossible for me to completely restrict spacetime. However, what if I added in? Qingyan Master flipped his wrist, and a purple-gold command flag appeared in his hand. This purple-gold command flag emitted a dense amount of time and space energy. The density of this time and space energy caused the expressions of everyone present to change. This is the painting sky golden flag? Master Hunyuan stared fiercely. Yes, it is the sky golden flag. It is one of the top-tier space-time true treasures in the divine beginning realm, and it has always been a legend. Master Qingyan smiled. Legend has it that 80 million years ago, in a secret region of the universe battlefield, 4 sky golden flags appeared at the same time. One of them was obtained by the palace master of your temporal temple, but the other 3 rods drifted into the void space of the universe, and their whereabouts are unknown. However, no one knows that one of the 3 sky-painting golden flags was found by the people of the 3 great saint realms many years ago. This time, the 3 sanctums are asking me to lend them to me for 10 million years. Chapter 3296, Void God. Golden sky-painting flag. The 3 great saint realms really have big arms. They even took out the golden sky-painting flag. No wonder even you were moved and listened to the orders of the 3 great saint realms. Master Hunyuan's expression was dark and cold. He knew about this golden sky painting flag. Just as Master Qingyan had said, this painting sky golden flag was definitely one of the strongest time and space true treasures in the divine beginning realm. It was very rare. Previously, he had known that the one-stroke painting sky golden flag was a technique used by Time and Temporal Palace Master. This painting sky golden flag was a very important treasure even to Temporal Palace Master. To Master Qingyan it was even more useful. With the golden sky painting banner, Master Qingyan's strength and life-saving ability would be greatly improved. In the next 10 million years, he could go to many places in the universe battlefield that he did not dare to go before. The opportunities and treasures he could get there were far beyond what he could compare with before. It was because of this that Master Qingyan could not refuse the conditions offered by the 3 saint realms, so he came here to help them kill Jianghu Shuang. Hunyuan, you and I have fought side by side before. You know my strength very well. I may be able to break the space-time imprisonment that I cast alone. But now, I'm using the space-time imprisonment that I cast with the golden painting sky flag. Even if it's your temporal temple, no one can break my space-time imprisonment unless your temple master comes personally. This little guy named Heavenly Sword Marquis has absolutely no chance of escaping. Master Qingyan. Master Qingyan's voice shook the sky. Hearing this, Master Hunyuan's face turned extremely ugly. Jianghu Shuang on the other hand was quite calm. He looked at Master Qingyan in the void with indifferent eyes. Master Qingyan, is it? At most, you can help the 3 saint realms to use space-time imprisonment. But if you want to kill me, the 3 saint realms will have to arrange other experts. But I don't know how many people from the 3 saint realms have come to kill me. There's no need to hide anymore. Let's show up together. As soon as Jianghu Shuang finished his words, the void on Saha Island suddenly became silent. However, this silence only lasted for a moment before it was immediately broken by someone. In the void around Saha Island, waves of extremely powerful aura rose one after another. Heavenly Sword Marquis? A little guy at the saint level can still be so calm when facing the 3 saint realms. His boldness is indeed extraordinary. I've long heard that Heavenly Sword Marquis is the #1 genius of this era in the divine beginning realm. It can even be said that he is the #1 person in the divine beginning realm since ancient times. I finally met him today. So what if he is a genius? As long as he is targeted by the 3 great saint realms, no matter how talented he is, he will only die. 3 consecutive voices came from 3 different directions. Then, from these 3 directions, many figures rushed over side by side. There were 15 people in each of these 3 directions. When the 3 directions were added together, there were a total of 45 people. Just by looking at the number, it was not considered too many. However, when the many experts within and outside the Saha Island noticed the aura emitted by these 45 people, their expressions turned into shock and astonishment. This was because each of the 45 experts who came from these three directions at the same time emitted an aura that belonged to a principal's master. All 45 of them were principal's masters. Oh my God! All of them are principal's masters? More than 40 principal's masters came together? If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Are you kidding me? Everyone was shocked by the generosity of the three Saint Realms. They had guessed that the three Saint Realms would attack Jianghu so they would send many experts. However, they did not expect that the three Saint Realms would send so many experts at once. What did it mean to have 45 principal's masters? The experts from the big forces who were principal's masters were better off, but the immortal saints who had just walked out of the Blood Wave realm were shocked to an unprecedented extent. For them, principal's masters were high and mighty, and it was difficult to meet one. But now, 45 principal's masters had come at the same time, which made them confused. Moreover, the 45 principal's masters who had just arrived in the three great saint realms were not the kind of principal's masters who had just grasped a portion of the power of their wills. The auras on their bodies were all extremely powerful. They were obviously much stronger than the principal's masters who had just broken through and grasped a portion of the power of their wills. In other words, these 45 principal's masters had grasped at least 2 portions of the power of their wills. Especially the 3 people in the lead. That's Sky Nether Master from the Destruction Saint Realm. There's also Star River Master from the Life and Death Saint Realm, and the last one is the 8 Treasures Master from the Flame Saint Realm. Heavens, it's actually the 3 of them. Sky Nether Master's status in the Destruction Saint Realm is only second to that Sacred Master. It said that he had already reached the peak of the Void 5th stage many years ago. Now that so many years have passed, even if he hasn't reached the Void 6th stage, he's probably not far from it. Star River Master is even more terrifying. 30 million years ago in the universe battlefield, he once fought with an expert of the 6th level of the Void. In the end, he retreated calmly. In terms of strength, he is probably stronger than Sky Nether Master. As for 8 Treasures Master, although he is slightly weaker than Star River Master, he is also an absolute expert at the peak of the 5th level of the Void. In order to kill a puny heavenly sword Marquis, 3 peak level 5 Void Realm experts were alarmed. Inside and outside the Saha Island, the principal's masters from the various powers were all trembling in their hearts. The immortal saints present were relatively inexperienced. They did not know what kind of existences the leader of the 3 was, but they, the principal's masters, knew. The peak of the 5 states of the Void, which was the realm Sky Nether Master and the other 2 were at. In the Divine Beginning realm, there were different levels of strength between each realm. For example, the immortal saints, from false saint to true saint rank 7, then to peak saint and invincible saint, there were almost rank 10. The immortal saints were like this, and the principal's masters naturally had different levels. However, there were not that many levels of principal's masters. Principal's masters. What did they mean by principal's masters? They had completely comprehended and grasped the principles, and at the same time they had the power of will. This was what principal's masters were like. However, the title of principal's master was only spread in the Divine Beginning realm. And outside the Divine Beginning realm, in the even more vast universe battlefield, principal's masters had another title, which was Void God. Chapter 3297. 6th stage Void Realm _ Void God could enter the Void and walk in the void space of the cosmos. Because of this, only principal's masters could enter the cosmos battlefield to explore. Because those below law masters could not walk in the cosmos battlefield, they naturally could not survive. And Void Gods were divided into 6 stages of the Void. This 6th stage of the Void was mainly decided by the willpower they grasped. Just like ordinary Void 1st stage experts, they could only grasp a portion of willpower. Like Underworld Emperor, Vast Emperor, Silver Wolf, and the other principal's masters who had just broken through, they could only comprehend a single principle and grasp a portion of willpower, hence, they were all at the level of the 1st level of the Void Realm. The 2nd level of the Void Realm would be able to grasp 2 portions of the power of the will. They could comprehend 2 portions of the power of the will at the same time. They could also open up their own mystic realms and obtain a 2nd portion of the power of the will. For the 3rd level of the Void Realm, under normal circumstances, they would be able to comprehend 2 portions of the power of the will at the same time and open up their own mystic realms. Among the 4 realms of the Void, there were those who comprehended 3 principles at the same time and opened their own mystic realms. There were also those who comprehended only two principles and opened their own mystic realms. However, the two principles that he comprehended had already perfectly fused together. This was because when two principles fused together, one could obtain a portion of the power of the will. This level could already be considered as the peak level among the principles masters, void gods. The void five realms, under the premise of comprehending three principles at the same time and opening up their own mystic realms, two of the principles would be perfectly fused together. This level was already considered a supreme existence. Even in the entire divine beginning realm, there were pitifully few of them. For example, the Sky Serene Master, Star River Master, and Eight Treasures Master that appeared now belonged to this level. There were also the three Palace Masters of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. Two of them also belonged to this level. After reaching this level, they were already a magnate in the divine beginning realm. They were super experts and no force or sect dared to look down on them. Even the three Great Freedom Alliance and the three Great Saint Realms, when facing experts at this level, they would also treat them with caution and not dare to provoke them. As for the six realms of the void, they were even more amazing. They either comprehended four principles at the same time and fused two of them together, or they comprehended three principles at the same time and perfectly fused all three of them together. No matter which one it was, as long as one had reached this level and grasped a total of 6 wills, then his battle prowess could be said to be earth-shattering. In the divine beginning realm, he could absolutely walk unhindered. However, the 6 states of the void were not something that could be easily achieved. In the entire divine beginning realm, the number of principles masters who had reached the 6 states of the void could be counted on one's fingers. On the surface, the experts of the 6 states of the void that the outside world already knew of, Palace Master Bai Xing of the Temporal Temple was one of them. The strongest Palace Master among the 3 Palace Masters of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance had also reached the 6 states of the void. Of course, the 6 states of the void only referred to the levels of Principles Masters. However, the true combat strength of a Principles Masters did not only depend on the power of his will, but it also included many other aspects, for example, the absolute art he created, his comprehension of the Tao, his special use of the principles, and so on. If he was strong enough in these aspects, even if he only grasped one part of the power of his will, he could still be compared to a Principles Master who grasped 2 parts of the power of his will. Just like Master Qingyan who was currently using the space-time imprisonment. He only grasped 4 parts of the power of his will and was at the 4th level of the void realm. However, his use of the space-time principles was very impressive, therefore even if he met an ordinary expert of the 5th void realm, he would still be able to tangle with him. Now that he had obtained the golden sky painting banner, a space-time supreme treasure, even if he were to face an expert of the 5th void realm, he would probably be able to fight him. Moreover, the Master Star River who was at the peak of the 5th void realm, was able to retreat easily from an expert of the 6th void realm. This proved that they were very powerful, but now, just to kill Jianghu Shuang the immortal saint, the 3 saint realms had sent 3 experts at the peak of the 5 void realms, and more than 40 principles masters at the bottom of the 2 void realms. It was indeed a big deal. To kill me, the 3 saint realms sent so many experts. You really think highly of me. Jianghu Shuang smiled coldly. It's been a long time since the 3 saint realms joined hands, let alone sending so many principles masters at once. So, Heavenly Sword Marquis, you can die in peace. The voice of the Sky Nether Master was warm, it made people feel extremely gentle. Little guy, you're just an immortal saint, so you're not worth the trouble of the 3 saint realms. Unfortunately, you're too special and your secret is too big, so the 3 saint realms don't dare to be careless. So today I have to bully the weak. Master Star River in a black robe looked at Jianghu Shuang. He looked at Jianghu Shuang. Little guy, I advise you to stop struggling and let us kill you. This way we can save trouble and you can suffer less. The 8 Treasures Master in a golden robe was a delicate girl. Her eyes were shining with a faint golden light and she looked extremely charming. Humph, you want to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis? Have you asked my temporal temple? Master Hunyuan suddenly snorted. As soon as he finished speaking, a large amount of tyrannical auras rose in the void beside him. Each of these auras was extremely tyrannical. Any one of them was far superior to the immortal saint. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Clearly, the auras that erupted at this moment all belonged to the Principles Masters. 3 Saint Realms, how dare you! A low shout echoed in the void like thunder, resounding throughout the entire Saha Island. At the same time, this low shout contained an extremely terrifying pressure. This pressure was much stronger than anyone present, even Sky Nether Master, Star River Master, and 8 Treasures Master. After that, a large group of figures rushed over. This pressure, it seems that the person from the temporal temple has come personally. Sky Nether Master looked at the group of people charging over, his expression still indifferent. Bai Xing, huh? I've dealt with them many years ago. Looks like we'll have the chance to fight again today. Star River Master smiled slightly. It's not just Bai Xing who has come personally. Even Batsong has come. Even though this Batsong hasn't broken through to the 5th level of the void space for a long time, his battle prowess is indeed extraordinary. Even if I were to face him, I don't have absolute confidence in winning. 8 Treasures Master also spoke. While the 3 of them were chatting and laughing, the many principals masters of the temporal temple, under the guidance of Palace Master Bai Xing and Batsong, arrived at the Saha Island. Chapter 3298, Battle Begin. More than 30 principals masters of the temporal temple, led by Temple Master Bai Xing and Batsong, had already appeared on the Saha Island, standing next to Jianghu. However, compared to the huge lineup of the 3 Saint Realms, the temporal temple only had about 30 principals masters, so there was obviously a gap between them. As expected, it's just as we thought. Because we didn't have much preparation, the temporal temple can't gather too many experts in a short period of time. Now that they can gather so many, it should be the temporal temple's limit. Sky Nether Master smiled faintly. In terms of overall strength, the temporal temple, as one of the 3 great freedom alliances, was indeed very powerful. Compared to any other Saint Realm, it was a little stronger. If it were to fight against one great Saint Realm alone, the temporal temple would naturally be able to gain the upper hand. But this time, the temporal temple had to fight against the 3 Saint Realms at the same time. Naturally, it would be difficult. Just from the experts present, it was obvious that the 3 Saint Realms were much stronger. Bai Xing, long time no see. How have you been? Star River Master's gaze was cold as he looked toward Temple Master Bai Xing. Star River Master, the 3 of you Saint Realms have openly attacked the experts under my temporal temple. What? Do you want to start a war with my temporal temple? Temple Master Bai Xing said coldly. We 3 Saint Realms don't have such thoughts. We are here for one purpose, and that is to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis. As long as he is dead, the 3 Saint Realms will immediately retreat. We will not dare to offend the temporal temple again, Star River Master said. Bai Xing, if you are sensible, let us kill Heavenly Sword Marquis. That way both of us can live in peace, Sky Nether Master said. What a joke. Palace Master Bai Xing sneered. You obviously want to kill the people of my temporal temple, but you want my temporal temple to sit back and do nothing? What do you 3 Saint Realms regard my temporal temple as? If that's the case, it seems that we can't come to an agreement, Star River Master said. Since we can't come to an agreement, let's just attack directly. We'll see who's stronger, Sky Nether Master said. Leave Bai Xing to me. I haven't fought with her for a long time. I'd like to see if her strength has improved after so many years, Star River Master said with a smile. I'll deal with Batsong. As for the rest, let's divide them up. 8 Treasures Master smiled slightly. Following Star River Master's order, 45 Rule Masters of the 3 Saint Realms immediately moved. Powerful auras pressed down on Jianghu and the others. Be careful. Don't fight them head-on. Remember, our goal is to buy time. Temple Master Bai Xing looked around. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website My Novelful. Thanks. Yes. The principal's masters nodded. They could see the situation clearly. The 3 Saint Realms were much stronger than the other 2. If they chose to fight them head-on, they would be at a disadvantage. Therefore, they had to find a way to fight them. At the same time, they had to try their best to stall for time while keeping themselves alive. After all, there were still reinforcements from the temporal temple that had not arrived yet. As long as the 10-man team of Master Lin Guang and the 4 from the Quiet Moon Abyss arrived on the battlefield, they would not be afraid of the 3 Saint Realms. Only then would they be able to fight freely. Heavenly Sword Marquis. Temple Master Bai Xing looked at Jianghu again. There is a big gap between the formation of the temporal temple and the 3 Saint Realms. In this battle, we can only try our best to stop the experts of the 3 Saint Realms for you. However, it is inevitable that someone will find an opening to attack you. Although you are an immortal saint, your battle strength is not weaker than an ordinary principal's master. If the principal's masters of the 3 Saint Realms really attack you, you have to be careful. If you can't deal with them, you have to find a way to get closer to the people around you. Do you understand? Understood. Jianghu nodded slightly. He also knew that it would be very difficult for the people of the temporal temple to stop all the experts of the 3 Saint Realms. If the three experts of the Saint Realm came to him through the gap, he would have to deal with them. Of course he would have to deal with them himself. Temple Master Bai Xing's voice sank, and a terrifying power burst out from her body, directly suppressing the entire area. The principals masters of the Temporal Temple also erupted with powerful auras as they charged toward the experts from the three great Saint Realms. The two sides, with a total of 80 principals masters, came into direct contact in the void at the center of Saha Island. A great battle erupted instantly. Boom, 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 boom. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Terrifying explosions rang out in the void at the center. The space above Saha Island began to tremble and shake as if it was about to collapse. Any one of the principal's masters possessed a terrifying power that could destroy the heavens and earth, especially the power of their will. Once they used it, it would be even more shocking. Usually just two principal's masters fighting head-on, the commotion was shocking. And now, nearly 80 principal's masters were directly clashing against each other. What kind of scene was this? The figure that was crazily shuttling through the void was as fast as a ghost. With a casual movement of his wrist, it was enough to tear the air apart. Someone used a divine weapon. With a swing of his saber, the world seemed to be split into two. Someone used his fist to smash downwards, directly piercing through the entire Saha Island, causing the land of the island to be completely stirred up. Someone relied solely on the might of his will to sweep out in all directions, causing air currents to billow and annihilate everything. Any one of them was so strong that it was suffocating. And for a total of 80 such super experts, for a moment, the heavens and earth were collapsing. And in the instant that both sides exchanged blows, the Saha Island below had already directly split into pieces. It was originally just an island, but in an instant dozens of small pieces of land had been split apart, and some of the land had already sank. The countless immortal saints and a few principals masters watching the battle around the island were already stunned by the terrifying battle. Principals masters, a large group of principals masters engaged in a chaotic battle. Doomsday battle. Many of the immortal saints who saw this battle let out howls and wails. This world-destroying battle made them feel as if doomsday had arrived. This kind of big battle was not something that the immortal saints could interfere in. Not to mention the immortal saints, even those who had already broken through to principals masters after coming out of the Bloodwave Palace felt a little apprehensive when they saw this big battle. They felt a little apprehensive in their hearts. Although they had already broken through to become principals masters, they were only at the ordinary first level of the Void Realm. And among the nearly 80 principals masters on the battlefield, the weakest one was at the second level of the Void Realm. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 3299. This is a true battle between the strong. Compared to this group of principals masters, the fierce battle between US saints is like playing house. It's too terrifying. I feel that anyone in this battle can easily kill us. It's the first time for me to see a battle between 80 principals masters. The many experts who were watching the battle around Saha Island were both shocked and excited. It was rare to see a battle between nearly 80 principals masters in the Divine Beginning realm. Now that they had seen it, they were naturally excited. The few people who had already broken through to become principals masters in Bloodwave Hall were feeling very complicated at this moment. This is a true principals master. With a single move he can destroy the world. Even though I am also a principals master now, I have only comprehended one principle and grasped a portion of the power of will. Compared to them, I am still too far away. Hao clenched his hands tightly, looking at the battlefield in front of him, his eyes flashed with a strange light. Among these 80 or so principals masters, the weakest one has grasped 2 portions of the power of will. Most of them have grasped 3 or even 4 portions of the power of will. Among us who have just broken through to become principals masters, even the strongest Light King is only at the top of this battle. Thanks. Master Ku shook his head, he kept exclaiming in admiration. Heavenly Sword Marquis, aren't you very strong? An immortal saint was defeated by you, but unfortunately, any of the experts sent by the 3 Saint Realms to kill you are experts in the second realm of the Void Realm. Any one of them is stronger than you. Even if you have the help of experts from the Temporal Temple, you will not be able to escape this disaster. This time you will die. Let's see how arrogant you can be. Silver Wolf was also standing nearby, he secretly laughed in his heart. On the battlefield, the 2 sides were already engaged in a fierce battle. The 3 Saint Realms had an absolute advantage in the number of experts. They constantly wanted to break through the obstacles of the experts of the Temporal Temple so that they could kill Jianghu. The experts of the temporal temple tried their best to stop them as long as they could protect themselves. The experts of the temporal temple were all good at the principles of spacetime. The principles of spacetime were quite powerful in terms of life preservation and entanglement. Therefore, in a short period of time, none of the experts of the three Saint Realms had come directly to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang stood in the center of the battlefield, looking at a battlefield in front of him. That battlefield was where the two strongest experts of the two camps, Temple Master Bai Xing and Star River Master, were fighting. Temple Master Bai Xing had grown to 3 meters tall. Her body was filled with monstrous power, blowing up her hair and clothes. Her eyes were suffused with a layer of white light, and a special pattern of a 4-pointed star vaguely appeared in them. She wore a pair of crystal gloves on her slender arms. She looked like a goddess of heaven and earth and was not to be violated. However, Temple Master Bai Xing, who looked like a goddess, was extremely ruthless and brutal in her attacks. She waved her hands one after another, either directly transforming into a mountain and striking out ferociously, or clenching her fists in anger, or transforming into a palm blade that easily tore through the void in front of her. Each of her attacks was extremely violent. She did not give her opponent a chance to catch his breath. Jian Wushuang could sense the existence of 3 principles from her attacks. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website mynovelful.com. Thanks. Space-time, raging fire, and earth. The 3 principles combine perfectly. Jian Wushuang's eyes shone with a fierce light. However, in the face of Temple Master Bai Xing's violent attacks, Star River Master had completely turned into boundless darkness. There was a gentle power mixed in the boundless darkness as if it could devour everything in the world. When Palace Master Bai Xing's attack struck this boundless darkness, it was as though it had struck a ball of cotton. It was soft, and its power had been completely dissipated. Haha, Bai Xing, after not seeing you for so many years, your strength doesn't seem to have improved much? Star River Master's hearty laughter reverberated throughout the center of the battlefield. You might not have improved much either. Palace Master Bai Xing snorted coldly. Visit Readle.me for extra chapters. Oh, is that so? Star River Master gave a strange smile. In the boundless darkness, a terrifying destructive force suddenly appeared. This destructive force was completely combined with the boundless darkness and the gentle force from before. In an instant, the boundless darkness became completely different from before. While the boundless darkness flowed out like a river. At the same time, streaks of dark air currents formed numerous dark chains that carried 3 different types of forces and swept toward Temple Master Bai Xing in an instant. In the blink of an eye, Temple Master Bai Xing had clashed with these dark chains more than 10 times. However, after these dozen times, Temple Master Bai Xing did not gain the slightest advantage. Galaxy, you actually broke through? Temple Master Bai Xing's expression was cold as he stared at Star River Master. 3 million years ago, I was lucky enough to break through. Star River Master smiled indifferently. And these words caused a commotion in the surrounding void space. Star River Master has actually broken through? He was already an expert at the pinnacle of the 5th level of the void space. Now that he has broken through, he has obviously fused 3 principles and stepped into the 6th level of the void space. One must know that when he was at the 5th level of the void space, he could easily face the 6th level of the void space. Now that he has broken through again, his strength will definitely be stronger than before. The Star River Master is too terrifying. Some experts secretly sighed in admiration. The Star River Master displayed the strength of the 6 void realms. He was not at a disadvantage in a head-on fight with Temple Master Bai Xing, and he even began to gain an advantage. In other battlefields, the Temporal Temple was also at a disadvantage and some were even at a great disadvantage. Although the 3 experts of the Saint Realm had not broken through the obstacles of the experts of the Temporal Temple and were now in front of Jian Wushuang, it was obvious that this situation would not last for long. In the middle of this unprecedented battle, Jian Wushuang was the most relaxed because so far, no experts of the 3 Saint Realms had come to kill him. However, he had been watching the scene around him. Principles Master. Once upon a time, the consciousness avatar of any Principles Master forced me into a corner and almost cost me my life. But today, nearly 80 Principles Masters are fighting because of me. Although I'm just a saint, I don't want to be completely protected by the experts of the Temporal Temple, Jian Wushuang murmured. He slowly looked up, and there was an unprecedented gleam in his eyes. At the same time, with a thought, a golden light directly emerged from his body. Chapter 3300, Earth-Shaking Battle, Part 2. The golden light was extremely dazzling. After emerging from Jian Wushuang's body, it flew directly into the void above and merged with it. Buzz! The heaven and earth suddenly shook, and then an unusually ancient and majestic treasure aura slowly spread down from the void above. As soon as this aura appeared, it instantly attracted the gazes of everyone present. It was not just the experts watching the battle outside the Saha Island. The experts from both sides who were fighting fiercely in the void at the center of the Saha Island all raised their heads in unison. Above them, the sky had completely disappeared, and was replaced by a vast and boundless painting world. This painting world was beautiful and magnificent, as if it truly existed. Within this scroll world there were not only mountains and rivers, but also a total of 9 towering continents. The ancient and majestic aura of treasures emanated from this scroll world. This aura was so powerful that it shook the heavens, and it directly overshadowed all the auras on the battlefield. One had to know that the time-space godly palace and the 3 great saint realms were fighting against nearly 80 principles masters from both sides. These principles masters had quite a number of true treasures in their hands, and at this moment, these true treasures had already fully exerted their power. Among them, there were many domain-type true treasures, suppression-type true treasures, and so on. The aura of these true treasures filled every corner of the battlefield, but now the aura of these true treasures paled in comparison to the aura emanating from the scroll world. The numerous principles masters from the 2 great camps, who were at the bottom of the scroll world, could not help but shudder. What is this? A true treasure? But the aura of this true treasure is way too powerful. A universe true treasure. This is a universe true treasure, and it's definitely a top-tier universe true treasure. Someone exclaimed, and the entire battlefield was filled with huge waves. There were 2 types of true treasures. One type was born in the divine beginning realm and some were born naturally. There were also some powerful master refiners who made their own true treasures. Although these true treasures were extremely powerful, they had certain limitations. The other type of true treasure was a universe true treasure. They were both true treasures, but universe true treasures only appeared in the universe battlefield. They originated from the vast universe and had unimaginable power. Compared to the true treasures born in the divine beginning realm, they were much more powerful. In the divine beginning realm, many principles masters used the first type of true treasure. As for universe true treasures, there were some who had obtained them in the universe battlefield, but they were few in number and most of them were not of a high level. For example, the golden banner in Master Qinjian's hand was also a universe true treasure, and its power was also very impressive. However, the true treasure aura of the golden banner was clearly far from the rich aura of the scroll world above. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Scroll World 9 Ancient Continents? This is the Mountain River Map. It is indeed the Mountain River Map, and it is one of the strongest true treasures of the ancient 7-star mysterious sect. I didn't expect it to be here. This Mountain River Map was taken out by Heavenly Sword Marquis. There were also some principles masters who had extraordinary knowledge. For example, Sky Nether Master, Star River Master, 8 Treasures Master, and the others were all extremely ancient. They had all participated in the world-ending war countless years ago. They also knew some secrets of the divine beginning realm. They recognized the scroll world above them at the first moment, and their expressions immediately became solemn. The ancient 7-star mysterious sect was truly a giant. Even though the 7-star mysterious sect had been destroyed for countless years, they were still filled with fear and respect toward the 7-star mysterious sect. And now, one of the 7-star mysterious sect's most powerful treasures had appeared here? Heavenly Sword Marquis, an immortal saint who possessed one of the 7-star mysterious sect's most powerful treasures. Of course they understood what this meant. Not only the 3 of them but Temple Master Bai Xing Ba Tsang, and the others also recognized the Mountain River Map. One of the most powerful treasures of the 7-star mysterious sect is with this little guy? Temple Master Bai Xing was shocked. No wonder the 3 Saint Realms spared no expense to kill him. It turns out that this little guy has a close relationship with the 7-star mysterious sect. In that case we can't let them succeed. Ba Tsang's voice was cold. The appearance of Jian Wushuang's Mountain River Map caused a huge commotion on the battlefield. At this moment, Jian Wushuang's eyes were filled with a fierce light as he looked at the wonderful scroll world above. "Old friend, I haven't fought with you for a long time," Jian Wushuang muttered. While chatting and laughing he had already resonated with the scroll world above. The Mountain River Map had been Jian Wushuang's most powerful treasure and one of his most powerful trump cards since his last life. In his last life, When he entered the reincarnation passage, he was separated from the map for a short time. Then, by chance, he reunited with the map in this life. Previously, Jian Wushuang had used the map to fight with powerful enemies many times. However, after he broke through to the Immortal Saint realm, he had never used this treasure again. It was better that he did not want to use it, but he had too many concerns. After all, the level of the mountain river map was too high. As his strength became stronger and he came into contact with more and more experts, more and more people could see that the mountain river map was extraordinary. If he used the mountain river map again, it would bring him endless trouble. Therefore, he would not easily use this treasure unless it was at the last moment. When he arrived at the third sky, although he had encountered some trouble, it had not truly endangered his life. Thus, he had never used the mountain river map before. However, today, under the current situation, he could not care less. Old friend, show your power in this world once again. Thousand treasures, great world, space-time world. The power spread out and the heaven and earth transformed. Large amounts of space-time power filled every corner of the heaven and earth. Waves of space-time storms appeared one after another. A brand new world appeared in front of everyone. The countless experts present, regardless of whether they were comprehending the principles of space-time or not, were able to sense the boundless power of space-time in their surroundings at this moment. This world revered space-time. So rich in the power of space-time principles. The many experts on the battlefield immediately felt the changes in this world, and they were all greatly shocked. After their shock, the experts of the Temporal Temple camp were all overjoyed, while the experts of the three great saint realms had ugly expressions on their faces. As soon as the space-time world appeared, this world only existed in the vast power of space-time laws. In such an environment, the experts who comprehended the space-time principles would be able to use more of the space-time principles, and their battle prowess would naturally be stronger. As for those experts who had not comprehended the space-time principles. Chapter 3301, World-Shaking Battle, Part 3. Experts who had never comprehended the principles of space-time were unable to sense the existence of other principles in this world of space-time. Naturally, the amount of principal energy they could mobilize would be greatly reduced, and their battle prowess would be weakened to a certain extent. However, it must be known that amongst the experts from both camps, the experts from the Temporal Temple had all comprehended the principles of space-time. Their battle prowess in this world of space-time would be able to display better. As for the experts from the three great saint realms, only a few of them had truly comprehended the principles of time and space, and their battle power would be weakened to a certain extent. This could reduce the gap between the powers of both sides to a large extent. It was like a powerful domain technique, which could suppress the other side's power and at the same time increase the other side's power. The difference was that domain techniques or true treasures could be used to fight with other domain true treasures of the same level, making it impossible for both sides to gain an advantage. However, the reincarnation world created by the mountain river map could directly change the world and change the surrounding environment. There was no way to use other methods to counter such a technique. The three great saint realms could not do anything about it. They could not do anything about it either. Heavenly Sword Marquis, what a great method. This world of space-time is of great help to us. Haha, everyone, let's kill them. After the principles masters on the side of the Temporal Temple felt the wonders of this world of space-time, they were overjoyed and their morale soared. Originally, the Temporal Temple had been at an absolute disadvantage in the battle, but because of the appearance of the space-time world, the gap between the two sides became even again. That's right, it was equal. The use of the Samsara world in this battle was almost comparable to the use of the 10 Principles Masters. However, after using the Samsara world and changing the situation on the battlefield, Jian Wushuang's expression was still extremely cold. His narrow eyes faintly flickered with a fierce light. He slowly extended his right hand to the back with a clang. The Blood Mountain sword had already been unsheathed, and an extraordinary aura swept out from his body. Jian Wushuang's saint-level aura was too conspicuous on the battlefield that was filled with rule masters. Almost the moment Jian Wushuang revealed his aura, a large number of people had already looked at him. What is Heavenly Sword Marquis planning to do? He revealed his aura and pulled out his magic weapon. Is Heavenly Sword Marquis planning to fight his way into the battlefield? Fight his way into the battlefield? He is overestimating himself. After all, he is only an immortal saint. Although he defeated a Principles Master before, that Principles Master had just made a breakthrough and had only mastered one part of the power of will. But now, the weakest people in the battle are experts in the second void realm who have mastered 2 parts of the power of will. There are even experts in the third and fourth void realms. Under such circumstances, if he stupidly charged into the battlefield, he would be courting death. That's right. Now, the experts of the Temporal Temple are blocking the experts of the three Saint Realms for him. He only needs to continue to activate the experts of the temporal world to assist the Temporal Temple. However, if he rushes into the battlefield, the experts of the Temporal Temple will no longer be able to take care of him. Instead, this will give the three Saint Realms a chance to kill him. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Heavenly Sword Marquis shouldn't be so stupid, right? The experts watching the battle outside the Saha Island were all discussing. However, just as they were talking about this, suddenly, Jianghu Shuang, who was in the center of the battlefield and under the protection of the experts of the Temporal Temple, suddenly moved and directly dashed forward. This scene made the experts watching the battle widen their eyes. Is Heavenly Sword Marquis really crazy? He's an immortal saint. Does he really want to participate in the battle? He's courting death. He's courting death. Many experts said one after another. Even the experts from the Temporal Temple were shocked by Jianghu Shuang's sudden action. Heavenly Sword Marquis. Kid, don't be rash. Bat Song and Master Hunyuan shouted at the same time. As for Temple Master Bai Xing, she could not pay attention to this because she was in a fierce battle with Star River Master. Otherwise she would be angry. However, their shouting was obviously over. Jianghu Shuang had appeared on the battlefield in front of him. His appearance made the 8 principals masters of the 3 Saint Realms on the battlefield overjoyed. Haha, this kid didn't hide among the experts of the Temporal Temple. How could he stupidly rush in front of us? Humph, since he wants to die, then he can't blame us. 7 Leaves, Calamity, you two are the closest to him. Come and kill him immediately. The rest of you stop the Temporal Temple. The 8 principals masters from the 3 Saint Realms immediately divided their tasks. 6 of them were responsible for keeping the experts from the Temporal Temple busy, while 7 Leaves and Calamity took the opportunity to attack Jianghu Shuang. 7 Leaves had comprehended one principle and opened his own heaven and earth mystic realm. He was an expert in the second realm of the void. As for Calamity, he had comprehended 2 rules at the same time and reached the third realm of void. The 2 people attacked one after the other. Haha, boy, die. 7 Leaves appeared in front of Jianghu Shuang first. He held a double-edged axe in his hand. The double-edged axe was red as if it had just been taken out of lava. The shadow of the axe moved, and a hot and violent aura filled the sky. Whoosh! The axe shadow slashed out, and the hot power evaporated the air in front of him, forming a red light shadow that slashed toward Jianghu Shuang. Jianghu Shuang raised his head. When he saw the axe shadow, his pupils constricted, and his divine power surged. He immediately used his life magic power. Wushuang Sword Manual, Shixiang. Facing the attack of an expert in the second realm of the void, Jianghu Shuang did not show any fancy moves. He directly used his most powerful attack to meet the attack. Bang! A low collision sound was heard, accompanied by a large amount of red flames that spread out in all directions. Jianghu Shuang lowered his arms slightly and took a step back. However, the attack of the 7 Leaves had already disintegrated, and his hand movements had also stopped temporarily. Jianghu Shuang's figure flashed and disappeared in front of 7 Leaves. When he reappeared, he was already behind 7 Leaves. Bloody Blade Swordsmanship, first move of Blood Drop. A streak of blood-red light flashed in the void like a drop of blood. It was so cold that 7 Leaf Master could not help but change his expression. 7 Leaves was a principal's master in the second realm of the void. Naturally, he could see through Jianghu Shuang's shadowless escape technique and knew that Jianghu Shuang was behind him. However, the speed of Jianghu Shuang's blood drop swordsmanship was too fast. Chapter 3302, Earth-Shattering Battle, Part 4. Swish. The dazzling blood light was incredibly fast. 7 Leaves could only barely swing his axe backward, barely colliding with the blood light. After a sound of collision, 7 Leaves directly retreated to the nearby void. Jianghu Shuang and 7 Leaf Master had a head-on confrontation. In a short moment, 7 Leaves was sent flying. However, before Jianghu Shuang could be happy, Calamity appeared in front of him with a golden long staff in his hand. It was so powerful. An aura that was even stronger than 7 Leaves came pressing down from the Calamity's body. The power of the golden long staff in his hand suddenly soared. Like a golden thunderbolt, it crushed everything in front of it and smashed toward Jianghu Shuang's head. The third realm of the void realm? Jianghu Shuang raised his head and glanced at Calamity. If it was just the second realm of the void realm, he could easily deal with it with his own strength and life divine power. However, the third realm of the Void Realm was enough for Jianghu Shuang to show his trump card. Heaven-cleaving skill. Without any hesitation, Jianghu Shuang immediately performed the heaven-cleaving skill. In an instant, the supreme life pressure, which came from a perfect life form, swept out from Jianghu Shuang's body and swept in all directions. This supreme life pressure immediately pressed on the body of Calamity. What is this? Calamity's expression suddenly changed. He had already performed the golden long staff, but its power was greatly weakened in an instant. Jianghu Shuang had also attacked. Peerless sword technique, Emperor's blood kill. A shocking blood-red sword shadow with the power of Jianghu Shuang's two wills and the monstrous power of the heaven-cleaving skill, directly attacked. As soon as the sword shadow appeared, all of a sudden the surrounding spacetime froze. Then, endless spacetime pressure crazily pressed toward Calamity. The pressure of spacetime and the pressure of an ultimate life form were superimposed on each other. Calamity felt as if a huge mountain weighing hundreds of millions of kilograms had suddenly appeared on his body, causing his movements to slow down. Meanwhile, the golden long rod that he used was already weakened to a certain extent. At this moment, it actually weakened quite a bit. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. In the end, that shocking blood-colored sword shadow finally collided head-on with the golden thunderbolt that he used. The principal's master of the three realms of the void was supposed to crush the immortal saint in a head-on collision, but, bang! After the loud sound, Calamity's body shook violently. How is this possible? Calamity roared, but then he felt a sweet taste in his throat. He spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated backward. Calamity and Jianghu Shuang collided head-on, but Calamity was crushed and spat out blood? How could this be? Impossible, this is impossible. My God, what did I see? An immortal saint sent 7 leaves of the void second realm flying, but now he's beaten Calamity of the void third realm into vomiting blood with one sword strike? Are you kidding me? Is Heavenly Sword Marquis really just an immortal saint? The experts watching the battle outside the Saha Island were in a daze. Their eyes were wide open in disbelief. They were already very shocked when they found out that Jianghu Shuang had defeated Silver Wolf in the Blood Wave realm. However, although Silver Wolf was also a principal's master, he had just made a breakthrough and had only grasped one part of the power of his will. When they thought of Jianghu Shuang's heaven-defying ability to cross realms, they could barely accept it. But now, Calamity was a principal's master in the 3 realms of the void. He had grasped 3 parts of the power of his will at the same time, which was far beyond Silver Wolf's ability. However, Calamity was struck by Jianghu Shuang's sword until he vomited blood? How strong was Heavenly Sword Marquis? Everyone was in a state of shock, but at this moment, a sudden change occurred. Look at the sky. A sudden exclamation exploded in the void, causing many experts present to raise their heads. Jianghu Shuang also sensed something and looked up at the void above. In the void above, the scroll world created by the mountain river map still existed, but in the center of the scroll world, or more accurately, in the upper part of the scroll world, a vast and surging power began to condense. This power contained a supreme aura, as if it wanted to dominate everything in the world. A supreme will had also descended. When they sensed this will's power, countless experts present were stunned. Heavenly Tao. It's the Heavenly Tao. The power of the Heavenly Tao's will? The supreme power of the Heavenly Tao's will has actually descended? The hearts of many experts surged with great waves. In the divine beginning realm, the power of the will of the Heavenly Tao had always been an extremely special existence. It represented the Heavenly Tao and ruled over everything. For example, behind the 3 great saint realms, there were figures with the power of the will of the Heavenly Tao. And in the divine beginning realm, whenever an existence that the Heavenly Tao could not tolerate appeared, the power of the will of the Heavenly Tao would appear and wipe them out. However, there were too few existences that the Heavenly Tao could not tolerate, therefore, the power of the will of the Heavenly Tao rarely took the initiative to condense. However, now that the power of the will of the Heavenly Tao had arrived, and the power condensed was unprecedented, it was clear that there was an existence on the battlefield that the power of the will of the Heavenly Tao could not tolerate and had to be eliminated. And this existence was undoubtedly Jianghu Shuang. Boom. Crack. A deafening sound reverberated in the void. The experts present felt as if their eardrums were about to burst completely. Heaven and earth had also been forcefully cracked open. A giant electric snake with a diameter of 100 meters descended from the 9 heavens. This electric snake was born for destruction. It represented the supreme will of the Heavenly Tao. It represented the power to wipe out everything. It also represented the heavenly punishment. Boom. The void shattered and collapsed crazily. Jian Wushuang stood at the center of the battlefield while the destructive electric snake directly rushed toward him. The power of the will of heaven. Jian Wushuang's eyes shone with an endless cold light. When the electric snake appeared above his head, he smiled coldly, and an indomitable fighting spirit soared into the sky. Jian Wushuang raised the Blood Mountain sword in his hands at the same time, and endless divine power gathered crazily in his hands. At this moment he felt an unprecedented calmness in his heart. It was not the first time he faced the power of the will of heaven. Previously he could only escape in a sorry state, but this time he would not escape. Since heaven wants to kill me, I will kill this heaven. Chapter 3303, Earth-Shattering Battle, Part 5. Whoosh! The heaven-cleaving skill was used again. The heaven-cleaving skill, in the name of heaven-cleaving, eliminated the heavenly Tao. This was the purpose of this divine power. Countless years ago, Jian Wushuang's master Xian Yi had galloped through heaven and earth, vowing to kill this heaven. The heaven-cleaving skill he had created was not only to use the innate advantage of his perfect life as much as possible. At the same time, this divine power was specifically aimed at the first level of the power of the will of heaven. If the heaven-cleaving skill was used to fight against a cultivator, it was enough to give Jian Wushuang an additional portion of the power of the will. However, if Jian Wushuang was fighting against the heaven-cleaving skill would improve his strength far more than a portion of the power of the will could compare to. Boom. The sword light directly cut into the giant electric snake with a diameter of 100 meters. A large amount of electric light frantically spread out in all directions, but the electric snake was directly cut by the sword light from the center, this by the will of the heavenly power of the terrifying electric snake. A moment will collapse. But the sword shadow is not reduced, directly cut to the top of the endless void. There, the will of the heavenly Tao condensed power, but with the sword light cut. Wang. World turbulence. A huge devour all of the vortex appeared out of thin air. The vortex swallowed up all the power, only slowly dissipated after a long time, and that piece of void has completely calmed down. The supreme will of the heavenly power has disappeared. Disappeared? Disappeared? The power of the will of the heavenly Tao was defeated by a frontal attack? The power of the will of the heavenly Tao was defeated by a frontal attack? Only an expert of the fifth level of the void could do that, right? Heavenly Sword Marquis has the battle strength of the fifth level of the void? How is that possible? Countless people cried out in surprise. They did not dare to believe the scene in front of them. The power of the will of the heavenly Tao did not pose much of a threat to some powerful principles masters. After all, the will of the heavenly Tao itself had too many restrictions. However, the power of the will of the heavenly Tao represented the punishment of the heavens. To defeat the power of the will of heaven head-on, it indeed required the strength of the fifth void realm. However, what everyone present did not know was that although Jian Wushuang did not have the battle strength of the fifth void realm, his heaven-cleaving skill specifically targeted the power of the will of heaven. With Jian Wushuang's current strength, although he still could not fully unleash the power of the heaven-cleaving skill, even if he only used a part of it, with his current battle strength that was no less than the third void realm, it was enough to disperse the power of the will of heaven. Fortunately, my strength has greatly increased in the Bloodwave Temple, and my divine power has also increased a lot. Previously, every time I used the heaven-cleaving skill, it was a huge burden for me and I could not use it again in a short period of time. But now, it is much easier for me to use the heaven-cleaving skill. After a big battle, I can barely use it a few times, Jian Wushuang muttered. After the power of the will of heaven was dispersed, Jian Wushuang looked at the surrounding battlefield again. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Kill. With a low roar, Jian Wushuang directly used the Shadowless Escape art and moved freely in the battlefield. The Shadowless Escape art was shadowless and traceless, which was extremely strange. Although everyone present was powerful and could sense his presence, his position changed surprisingly quickly. In addition to this big battle, it was a large-scale chaotic battle with experts from both sides fighting fiercely. In such a situation, it was absolutely terrifying to have an assassin among them. Be careful. Be careful of Heavenly Sword Marquis. Bastard, think of a way to kill him. Many experts from the three Saint Realms were shocked and furious. They originally had the advantage in numbers, but because of Jian Wushuang's space-time world, the gap between the two sides was completely closed. At this time, Jian Wushuang relied on his own assassination ability to wantonly assassinate on the battlefield. It made the experts of the three Saint Realms feel threatened. Their original goal was to kill Jian Wushuang, but now it was difficult for them to find an opportunity to kill Jianghu Shuang. If one or two people attacked alone, they could not do anything to Jianghu Shuang. It could be said that because of Jianghu Shuang's attack, the situation of the battle began to favor the Temporal Temple's side. However, the situation only lasted for a short while before Jianghu Shuang was faced with a crisis. "Little guy, you have entered the battlefield unscrupulously. Don't you think too little of the three Saint Realms?" A gentle voice rang out, and a black-robed figure had unknowingly arrived beside Jianghu Shuang. Upon hearing this voice, Jianghu Shuang's pupils constricted. The Sky Nether Master? That was right, it was Sky Nether Master. Sky Nether Master, Star River Master, and 8 Treasures Master led the experts to kill Jianghu Shuang. Star River Master and Temple Master Bai Xing fought fiercely, while 8 Treasures Master fought with Bat Song. Only he was not a suitable opponent. After all, among the experts from the Temporal Temple, only Bat Song, an expert of the 5th Void Realm, was here. The other strongest Master Hunyuan was only at the peak of the 4th Void Realm. As the battle began, Sky Nether Master first fought with Master Hunyuan. With the help of the Spacetime World, Master Hunyuan was able to hold on for a while. However, this was because Sky Nether Master had not used his full strength. Not long after Jianghu Shuang rushed into the battlefield, Sky Nether Master immediately broke away from Master Hunyuan and approached Jianghu Shuang. Seeing the Sky Nether Master coming to Jianghu Shuang's side, the experts of the 3 Saint Realms were naturally overjoyed. On the other hand, the people of the Temporal Temple changed their expressions. "Heavenly Sword Marquis, retreat!" Bat Song immediately shouted. "Heavenly Sword Marquis, come to me!" Chaos Master also shouted. In the current battlefield, only he could spare his hands to barely block the Sky Nether Master. Jianghu Shuang's best choice was to approach him. Without hesitation, Jianghu Shuang dashed toward Master Hunyuan. Seeing this, Sky Nether Master smiled evilly. "Do you want to retreat now? Is it too late?" Whoosh! A black shadow whistled through the void. Like a ghost, Sky Nether Master appeared in front of Jianghu Shuang. At the same time, his shriveled right hand slowly stretched out and turned into a sharp claw. It was continuously magnified in Jianghu Shuang's eyes. Jianghu Shuang instantly sensed the difference in strength between the two. He could not resist the claw at all. Seeing that the Sky Nether Master's sharp claw was about to grab his head, Jianghu Shuang's eyes turned cold. A crystal pearl had appeared in his hand out of nowhere. The surface of the pearl contained a layer of special power. Jianghu Shuang exerted force with his wrist and directly crushed the pearl. In an instant, a surge of power burst out from the exploded pearl. Chapter 3304, World-Shaking Battle, Part 6, Splash. A large amount of water mist spread out from the pearl. The water mist covered heaven and the earth and contained an extremely strange power. It swept out crazily in the surroundings. The sharp claws of the Sky Nether Master were about to touch Jianghu Shuang, but because of the appearance of the water mist, the sharp claws seemed to be grabbing onto a ball of cotton. There was no point of force and the water mist spread crazily. In the blink of an eye, half of the battlefield was filled with mist, forming a huge world of mist. "This is..." The Sky Nether Master looked at the mist world around him and his pupils shrank. "Shuayun? Humph, boy, I didn't expect you to have some relationship with Palace Master Shuayun of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. Unfortunately, it's useless. If Palace Master Shuyan's original body was here, I would be a little afraid. But now, it's only a part of the power left in his special treasure. How can it hurt me and him?" Sky Nether Master smiled coldly, and a large amount of dark light immediately rose from his body. Under the guidance of Jianghu Shuang, the vast and majestic the world of Shuayun was, that it crazily swept toward Sky Nether Master. In the blink of an eye, it completely enveloped him because the water fog was dangerous to block. No one knew what happened in the center of the Shuayun world. Everyone present could only hear a low rumble coming from the Shuayun world. After a while, the sounds disappeared, and the huge water mist world slowly began to dissipate, revealing the scene inside. Sky Nether Master stood in the void that was previously covered by the water mist. However, his expression was a little gloomy, and his robes were also damaged. He looked a little miserable. As expected of the famous secret technique of Palace Master Shuayun, the power of this Shuayun world is really amazing. Sky Nether Master was secretly amazed. Palace Master Shuayun of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance was at the peak of the 5 Void Realms like him. However, Palace Master Shuayun had obtained a powerful secret skill, the Shuayun world. With this secret skill, Palace Master Shuayun could fight an expert of the 6 Void Realms head-on. In terms of overall strength, he was naturally stronger than him. For example, even if Palace Master Shuyan's original body had not been present, the Shuiyun world that he had left in the bead still made him quite embarrassed in a short period of time. While the master was trapped in the Shuiyun world, Jianghu Shuang had found an opportunity to join hands with Master Hun Yuan. Heavenly Sword Marquis, you really have a lot of trump cards. Previously, you took out the Universe Supreme Treasure, the Mountain River map, and now, you even took out a treasure that contains the attack of Palace Master Shuiyun. Hun Yuan Master looked at Jianghu Shuang. Not bad. Jianghu Shuang smiled faintly. The Heaven-Cleaving Alliance thought highly of him. They had let him enter the Heaven-Cleaving Mystic Realm and later found out that he was in a dangerous situation. They had specially given him some life-saving methods, including 2 beads and a purple bamboo leaf. Now, he had only used one of the beads. In terms of life-saving trump cards, he still had a lot of them. Heavenly Sword Marquis stepped back a little. Leave the Sky Nether Master to me, Master Hun Yuan said. Okay. Jianghu Shuang nodded. He knew that with his current strength, he could at most face an expert at the 3rd realm of the void. But against an expert at the peak of the 5th realm of the Enlightenment realm like the Sky Nether Master, he was nothing. He could only flee in embarrassment. Sky Nether Master, I'll be your opponent. Master Hun Yuan fluttered his robe and stood in front of the Sky Nether Master. You think you can stop me? The Sky Nether Master smiled coldly. Previously, he had not used his full strength, which was why the Sky Nether Master could barely hold him back. But now, get lost. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. With a sharp whistle, the Sky Nether Master's body suddenly expanded. He was originally the size of a normal human, but in the blink of an eye, he had transformed into a boundless divine eagle. The divine eagle's body was pitch black, and its feathers were as sharp as blades. The surroundings were also surrounded by pitch-black world-destroying lightning. Shoo! The divine eagle pounced down fiercely as if it was hunting its prey. Its 2 sharp claws clawed out at the same time, and its frenzied fingertips swept through the void, causing the air to produce the sound of being torn apart. Not good. Master Hun Yuan's expression changed. The instant the divine eagle pounced down, he had already felt a power that made him feel suffocated. This power was clearly not something he could withstand. Bang! With a loud sound, Hun Yuan's body trembled. That sharp claw seemed to want to tear his divine body apart. At the same time, a large amount of black world-destroying lightning from that sharp claw came toward him. In an instant, it covered his entire body. Crackling thunder rumbled. Master Hun Yuan's divine body was also heavily injured at this moment. Blood flowed out from his mouth. Ho! The condor let out a strange laugh, and then a huge force hit down like a mountain, sending the whole figure of Master Hun Yuan flying. In the process of exchanging blows with the Sky Nether Master and Master Hun Yuan, who was at the pinnacle of the 4 states of the void, was actually sent flying by the Sky Nether Master. Heavenly Sword Marquis die. The black divine eagle, which had sent Master Hun Yuan flying, shot toward Jianghu Shuang with killing intent in its eyes. T. Jianghu Shuang's face darkened. He did not expect that Master Hun Yuan would be sent flying so easily by Sky Nether Master. Without Master Hun Yuan's protection, he would not be able to face Sky Nether Master alone. However, Jianghu Shuang had been through countless storms. Even when he was in danger, he did not panic at all. Instead, he was absolutely calm. When he saw that the black divine eagle was approaching him without any obstruction, he immediately took out the 2nd bead. The first bead was refined by Palace Master Shuiyun. The 2nd bead came from Palace Master Askance. As the black figure got closer and closer, Jianghu Shuang was about to crush the bead, but at this moment, Sky Nether, you have been an old man for God knows how many years, but you actually attacked a little guy at the level of Immortal Saint. Aren't you going too far? A slightly evil voice suddenly sounded on the battlefield. The black divine eagle that was originally charging over at high speed immediately stopped the moment it heard this voice. The divine eagle dissipated and revealed the gaze of the Sky Nether Master once again. However, at this moment, the expression of the Sky Nether Master had become exceptionally grave. His eyes were also staring fixedly at the person who had appeared in front of him. This person was a strange old man with a scarlet cape. The old man's face was thin and he had a hooked nose. His eyes were very small, just like the eyes of a mouse. Moreover, his eyes were slightly narrowed, giving off an extremely shrewd appearance. The evil smile on the old man's lips made his entire person seem even more evil. Arg! Sky Nether Master's voice was low and deep fear was revealed from the depths of his eyes. Chapter 3305, World-Shaking Battle, Part 7. On the battlefield, the two camps were in a heated battle. However, when the weird old man with the scarlet cape appeared on the battlefield, the huge battlefield suddenly quieted down. Countless gazes were focused on the weird old man. Most of them were shocked. Elder Darkbone, it's Elder Darkbone. It's him? This old monster is said to be from the same era as the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance Master, the Temporal Temple, and the Heavenly Ancestor. He has lived for so many years, and it was said that he had gone to the depths of the universe battlefield to explore. I didn't expect that he would still stay in the Divine Beginning realm. What is this old monster doing here? Exclamations sounded from the crowd around the battlefield. Elder Darkbone, who was wearing a scarlet cape, looked around the crowd with his small eyes. He heard the discussions around the battlefield, and the smile on his face grew wider. I didn't expect that after so many years, there would still be people who know my name. It's really rare. Elder Darkbone. Sky Nether Master looked straight at him. Today's matter is a competition between our three great saint realms and the Temporal Temple. It shouldn't have anything to do with you, right? It doesn't matter. Indeed, it doesn't have anything to do with me. Unfortunately, although I don't want to interfere, I can't overpower my disciples' every request. Elder Darkbone revealed a helpless expression. His gaze was looking at a corner outside the battlefield. Dihao, Chen Hongzi, Duan Lang, and other experts from the Temporal Temple were standing there. However, there was one other person besides them. Your disciple? The Sky Nether Master was stunned. He followed Elder Darkbone's gaze and looked at the figure. Jianghu Shuang, who was standing behind Elder Darkbone, immediately looked over. He raised his eyebrows when he saw him. The person whom Elder Darkbone was looking at was the Underworld Emperor, who had befriended Jianghu Shuang in the Blood Wave realm. Haha, brother Heavenly Marquis, I owe you a favor. Now you can return it to me. A proud smile appeared on Underworld Emperor's face as his voice spread. Underworld Emperor's master is Elder Darkbone? Jianghu Shuang was shocked. Previously, he had obtained the second Blood Wave token in the Blood Wave realm. At that time, Underworld Emperor had given him a favor in exchange for the token. At that time, Jianghu Shuang also learned that Underworld Emperor had an extraordinary master behind him. Even the Temporal Temple would not dare to underestimate this master. It was because of this that Temple Master Bai Xing had asked him to agree to the exchange with the Underworld Emperor. Now Jianghu Shuang finally met the Underworld Emperor's master, Elder Darkbone. Although Jianghu Shuang had never heard of Elder Darkbone before and did not know how strong he was, but he was also called Underworld Bone Master. Just from the importance that Temple Master Bai Xing placed on him, Jianghu Shuang could guess that Elder Darkbone must be very powerful. Otherwise, Elder Darkbone would not be so fearful of him. I have lived for so many years and have no family in this world. I don't even have any good friends. Not long ago, I finally took a fancy to a little guy and accepted him as my personal disciple. It can be said that this little guy is my only family in this world. Therefore, I doted on this little guy, Elder Darkbone said with a wicked smile. This kid, Heavenly Sword Marquis, has helped my disciple in the Blood Wave realm and made him owe him a favor. Of course, I have to pay him back. Sky Nether, if you want to kill him, you have to go through me. Sky Nether Master's face suddenly turned ugly. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Among the three experts of the Saint Realm, only he had the time to kill Jianghu Shuang. Although the Temporal Temple was blocked, he did not care even if Hunyuan Master appeared, but now the appearance of Elder Darkbone. Elder Darkbone was an old monster from the same era as the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance Master, the Temporal Temple Master and the Heaven Ancestor. Not long ago, when the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance Master, the Temporal Temple Master and the Heaven Ancestor had not reached the supreme level, Elder Darkbone was worthy of his name. Even Sky Nether Master, who had reached the sixth realm of the Void Realm, would be suppressed by such an extraordinary existence. Elder Darkbone, although I really don't want to fight with you, Heavenly Sword Marquis must die. Therefore, I can only come to you for advice. Sky Nether Master's expression was solemn. He had forcefully mustered his courage to say these words. Very good. Coincidentally, it has been a long time since I last fought. Let's warm up today. Elder Darkbone smiled slightly, appearing calm and collected. Kill? Sky Nether Master did not waste any more words and directly attacked. Screech. The huge black godly eagle once again appeared between heaven and earth. The surface of the godly eagle's body was surrounded by a large amount of world-destroying lightning. It swooped down and appeared in front of Elder Darkbone in the blink of an eye. A sharp claw slashed out like lightning. It was incomparably swift and fierce. Elder Darkbone had his hands behind his back. It was only when the sharp claw was about to touch his godly body that he slowly stretched out his hand and casually waved it. This wave was like chasing away a fly. It did not seem to contain much power, but after he waved his hand, a gust of wind suddenly whistled. This gust of wind easily shattered the space, and it also blew away the power condensed by the black godly eagle at the first moment. The attack of Sky Nether Master was directly disintegrated, and even the black godly eagle that he had formed was directly dispersed. Sky Nether Master's figure once again appeared in heaven and earth, but the depths of his eyes were filled with shock. It was not just him, but all the experts watching the battle in the surroundings were greatly shocked. With a casual wave of his hand, Sky Nether Master's attack was directly disintegrated, and even the black godly eagle that Sky Nether Master had formed with his secret technique was directly dissipated? What kind of technique is this? It's too powerful. The Sky Nether is like a baby in front of him. This is Elder Dark Bone. Although he is only at the peak of the 6th realm of the Void Realm, his strength and skills are unfathomable. It is said that even if he meets the 3 masters of the Saint Realm, he can barely hold on for a while in a one-on-one situation. But to kill him, even the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance Master, the Temporal Temple, and the Heaven Ancestor can't do it themselves. Around the battlefield, many experts were amazed. Jianghu was also shocked. No wonder Temple Master Bai Xing said that Underworld Emperor's favor was worth a blood wave token. His master is so powerful. Jianghu murmured. He was glad that he had agreed to exchange conditions with Underworld Emperor and made friends with him, so he had such a powerful ally in this battle. Chapter 3306, Earth-Shattering Battle, Part 8, On the battlefield. Because of the appearance of Elder Dark Bone, he had completely suppressed the Sky Nether Master, so no one from the 3 Saint Realms had the time to deal with Jianghu. On the other hand, Jianghu relied on the shadowless escape art and the assassination method of the bloody sword art to move freely on the battlefield, which brought great trouble to the rule masters of the 3 Saint Realms. The situation on the battlefield was once again in a stalemate. The people of the 3 Saint Realms have been stalled. If this situation continues, the 3 Saint Realms will probably come back empty-handed again. There's no other way. The 3 Saint Realms are already very clever and have sent out many experts. The Temporal Temple could not completely block them, but who would have thought that Heavenly Sword Marquis would have a treasure like the Mountain River map, which greatly improved the strength of the experts of the Temporal Temple. The appearance of Elder Dark Bone is probably beyond the expectations of the 3 Saint Realms. No, I don't think it's that simple. When the 3 Saint Realms decided to make their move, they must have already made preparations. Naturally, they have their own ways to deal with this situation. Just wait and see. The methods of the 3 Saint Realms are definitely not that simple. Right, I think so too. After all, they are the 3 Saint Realms. The surrounding experts casually chatted and expressed their own views on the current situation. Some people felt that the 3 Great Saint Realms had exhausted all their tricks, but more people felt that the 3 Great Saint Realms had more tricks up their sleeves. As expected, not long after Elder Dark Bone appeared on the battlefield, the stalemate on the battlefield was once again broken by someone. Kiki, everyone from the 3 Great Saint Realms, I wonder if we are too late? A sinister and evil laughter suddenly sounded from the void next to the battlefield. Everyone looked over when they heard the sound and immediately saw the void. A total of 8 figures were rushing over. The 8 figures were all covered in black robes, and their appearances could not be seen. However, from the aura they emitted, it seemed that these 8 people were all Principal's masters, and their strength was extraordinary, especially the person in the lead. The aura emitted from their bodies was not much weaker than that of Sky Nether Master and 8 Treasures Master, who were at the pinnacle of the 5 states of the void. You guys came just in time, huh? Sky Nether Master glanced at the 8 figures as he tried his best to defend against Elder Dark Bone's attack. I'm sorry. I met with some matters on the way and was delayed. However, everyone don't worry. Since the Sect Master has already agreed to act, he won't go back on his words. The black-robed man in the lead laughed strangely. Sect Master? Everyone present was stunned before they immediately understood. The Sorcerer God Sect. It's the Sorcerer God Sect. Good heavens, even the Sorcerer God Sect has interfered. Moreover, it seems like the Sorcerer God Sect has reached some sort of agreement with the 3 Great Saint Realms. This time, the Sorcerer God Sect is standing on the side of the 3 Great Saint Realms and is also here for Heavenly Sword Marquis. After knowing the identity of the person who came, the crowd around the battlefield once again burst into an uproar. Although the Sorcerer God Sect was far from being as powerful and terrifying as the 3 Great Freedom Alliance and the 3 Great Saint Realms in the Divine Beginning Realm, the Sorcerer God Sect's methods were brilliant, and they also had terrifying strength. They had always been in existence that the experts from all the forces in the Divine Beginning realm were deeply afraid of. In the Divine Beginning realm, almost no force or expert was willing to deal with the Sorcerer God sect. But now, the experts of the Sorcerer God sect had also rushed to the battlefield and stood in the camp of the 3 great saint realms. And just as the 8 experts of the Sorcerer God sect had arrived at the battlefield, 9 figures with thick auras were also rushing over from the void on the other side. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Among the 9 figures, 6 of them were women. They were all extremely beautiful, especially the 2 in the lead. One was extremely beautiful and charming, while the other was demure and enchanting like a saintess. However, at this moment, the eyes of the 2 beautiful women were bursting with a shocking killing intent. Heavenly Sword Marquis, give me back my 6th sister's life. A cold, low voice reverberated between the heaven and earth. From the low voice alone, everyone knew that the person was also coming to kill Jianghu. I know that enchanting woman in red. She's the 3rd princess of the Nine-Tail clan, Diyu. Next to her is her sister, Desu. The Nine-Tail clan, one of the 4 great divine clans? Why are they here? And they want to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis? It's the 9 Palace Saintess. The Nine-Tail clan is here for her. 9 Palace Saintess? At the mention of her name, all the experts present came to a sudden realization. In the Blood Wave realm, Jianghu killed the 9 Palace Saintess, who was ranked 5th on the True Saint list and became famous in the Divine Beginning realm. At that time, many people guessed that she was from the Nine-Tailed clan. However, the 9 Palace Saintess herself did not admit it, so the introduction of the 9 Palace Saintess on the True Saint list had always been suspected of being from the Nine-Tailed clan. Judging from the current situation, the 9 Temple Saintess was not only a member of the Nine-Tailed clan, but also the 6th princess of the Nine-Tailed clan. The princess was the daughter of the Grand Master of the Nine-Tailed clan. No wonder the Nine-Tailed clan had come to kill her. Sorry to trouble you. Jianghu frowned slightly. After killing the 9 Temple Saintess, he had learned through Miss Shower that the 9 Temple Saintess was the daughter of the Grand Master of the Nine-Tailed clan. He had guessed that the Nine-Tailed clan would definitely seek revenge on him. However, he did not expect the Nine-Tailed clan to be so fast. Moreover, they just happened to catch up with the 3 great saint realms. Now, because of the arrival of many experts from the Sorcerer God sect and the Nine-Tailed clan, the situation on the battlefield immediately changed dramatically. Everyone from the Nine-Tailed clan, the Sorcerer God sect and the 3 great saint realms are responsible for tangling the temporal temple. As for Heavenly Sword Marquis, he'll leave him to you to kill. How about it? The black-robed leader of the Sorcerer God sect said. Okay, Diyu agreed without thinking. Heavenly Sword Marquis, die. Boom. A monstrous aura suddenly swept out. 9 powerful principals masters of the 9 clans rushed into the battlefield and immediately charged toward Jianghu. Although there were no experts in the 5 void realms who were as powerful as the Heaven Underworld Master or the 8 Treasures Master, the 2 leaders, Diyu and Desu, were in the 4 void realms. Especially Diyu, who had reached the peak of the 4th void realm. In addition to the other experts in the 2nd and 3rd void realm, this battle strength was obviously not something Jianghu could withstand alone. But heaven and earth shook. Before the experts of the Nine-Tailed clan arrived in front of Jianghu, a majestic power had already enveloped him. Soul attack. Jianghu's face darkened. The Nine-Tailed clan was best at charm and soul. Chapter 3307, Earth-Shattering Battle, Part 9, Oh no! Jianghu's face suddenly changed. If it was just a simple soul attack, Jianghu would not take it to heart. His physique was special, so any soul attack would be ineffective against him. Even if it completely destroyed his soul, he could instantly repair it. However, if his opponent's soul attack was accompanied by the charm skill, it would be completely different. The charm skill was not aimed at the human soul but at the consciousness. Jianghu had experienced the charm skill of the Nine-Tailed clan. Previously, in the Blood Wave realm, the charm skill of the 9 Palace Saintess alone could not affect him. But now, the charm skill was used by Diyu, who had reached the 4th realm of the void. The charm was many times stronger than the charm of the 9 Temple Saintess. Even though Jianghu's state of mind was very strong, under the charm of Diyu, his state of mind was shaken and his consciousness was about to fall into a daze. But before his consciousness fell into a daze, he had already taken out the 2nd bead. As the bead broke, the shocking power contained in it immediately burst out. Of the 2 beads that the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance had given him, one was refined by Palace Lord Shuayun and had already been used up by him. As for the current bead, it was refined by Palace Lord Askance. Palace Lord Askance was ranked second among the 3 Palace Lords of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. In terms of strength, he was even stronger than Palace Lord Shuiyun. Furthermore, Palace Lord Shuiyun's strongest secret art, the Shuiyun world, more or less had the effect of trapping and entangling the enemy. Its true might was not particularly powerful, but Palace Lord Askance was famous for his absolute offensive techniques. Rumble, the world trembled as endless black air waves surged up. These black air waves were like rolling devil clouds. These devil clouds crazily gathered together, forming an extremely enormous devil might. The devil might was imposing, suppressing everything in the surroundings. And in the center of this devil might, a black devil god that was 30 feet tall was condensed. What is this? What a terrifying demonic aura. Isn't this pressure a little too strong? I've seen this demonic god before. This is the heaven-seeking demonic god, one of the 3 palace masters of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. It's the heaven-seeking demonic god's famous ultimate move. Heaven-seeking demonic god? This is the heaven-seeking demonic god? What a good fellow. Previously, it was Palace Master Shuiyun's famous ultimate move. Now it's the heaven-seeking Palace Master's famous ultimate move. What is the relationship between Heavenly Sword Marquis and the 3 Palace Masters of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance? The experts spectating the battle were all staring in shock at the black demonic god that appeared in the middle of the battlefield. Askance Palace Lord was named after him. This move was even more famous than Shuiyun Palace Lord Shuiyun World. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Askance Palace Lord? Diyu, Desu, and the principals masters of the 9-tailed race all frowned as they looked at the black demonic god. Ask Heaven Empyrean was a peak existence that they did not have the qualifications to interact with. How about Ask Heaven Fiend Celestial? You killed my 6th sister. Even if Ask Heaven Empyrean from the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance were to personally come, you will still die. Diye's voice was cold, her eyes suffused a demonic green light. This green light burst forth like a green sun that illuminated the entire world. Suddenly, the green light turned into a huge green light beam and shot directly at the Azura demon god. This move, Jian Wushuang's pupils shrank slightly. He had seen the same move from the 9 Temples Saintess, but the power of this move was obviously much stronger. It was not surprising that this move should be the inheritance secret skill of the 9-tailed clan. Just like Jian Wushuang was a member of the ancient clan in his previous life, some of the ancient clan's inheritance secret skills were very powerful. The 9-tailed clan was ranked as one of the 4 great divine clans as well as the ancient clan, so their strength was naturally extraordinary. The inheritance secret skill of the 9-tailed clan, of course, was not weaker than that of the ancient clan. The power of this inheritance secret skill was so strong that it could even pose a threat to some experts of the 5 void realms. However, the one standing in front of Diyu was Askance Demon God, the famous move of Askance Palace Master. At this moment, Jian Wushuang had regained his consciousness. He looked at the green beam of light and his eyes flashed. He immediately began to guide Azura Demon God. Break! With a low roar, Azura Demon God, who was 3 meters tall, looked cold and emotionless. Under Jian Wushuang's guidance, Azura Demon God threw a punch forward. This punch was extremely brutal and contained endless demonic power. In an instant, it smashed into the green light. Boom! The void trembled. Without any suspense, the green light was smashed into pieces and spread out in all directions. Then Azura Demon God took another step forward and threw another punch. This punch was aimed at all the people of the 9-tailed clan. Attack together. Diyu growled. Immediately, 9 experts from the 9-tailed race, including Diyu and Desu, took action to block the punch. However, under the punch that contained demonic might, the 9 figures retreated explosively. With just one punch, the 9 principals masters from the 9-tailed race were sent flying. This was the strongest heaven-seeking fiend celestial of the heaven-seeking palatial lord. So strong. This is Askance Sky Demon God. Too strong. The power of one punch is actually so terrifying? The surrounding experts who were watching the battle could not help but exclaim in amazement when they saw the scene on the battlefield. The 9-tailed race members had already steadied themselves, but most of them had ugly expressions on their faces. Is this the Askance Sky Demon God that Mother mentioned? He is really strong, Desu said in a deep voice. He is very strong. However, this heaven-seeking fiend celestial is merely a technique left behind by the heaven-seeking palace lord. It is not something that the heaven-seeking palace lord can personally use. Although its might is equally powerful, every time the heaven-seeking fiend celestial uses an attack, it consumes a large amount of energy. The energy that this heaven-seeking fiend celestial has condensed is not much. At most, it can only use a few more attacks before its energy is completely depleted. We don't need to fight it head-on. We just need to force it to use up its strength, said Diyu. Everyone from the Nine-Tailed clan nodded. Let's go. Soon, the 9 members of the Nine-Tailed clan attacked again. Jianghu Shuang had no choice but to lead the Azura demon god to fight. However, just as Diyu had said, the Azura demon god was only one of the skills left in the pearl by Palace Master Azura. As the number of attacks increased, the power of the Azura demon god would be depleted. It would not last long. Without Askant's demon god, it would be difficult for him to deal with the Nine-Tailed clan alone. However, there was good news. While Jianghu Shuang was fighting the Nine-Tailed clan with Askant's demon god, Temple Master Bai Xing secretly told him that reinforcements from the Temporal Temple were coming. Chapter 3308, Earth-Shattering Battle, Part 10. The Temporal Temple also had reinforcements. They were the 10-man team of Master Lin Guang, who had just returned to the Divine Beginning Realm and had been exploring the universe battlefield. After receiving the message from Temple Master Bai Xing, Master Lin Guang rushed to the Saha Island as fast as he could. While the battle was still in its climax, Jianghu Shuang had stopped the Nine-Tailed clan members with the help of Azura demon god. Lin Guang Master's 10-man team finally arrived at the battlefield. This 10-man team had been to the universe battlefield before. The universe battlefield was so dangerous that ordinary Principles Masters did not dare to go there. Only Principles Masters who had reached the 3rd realm of the Void Realm dared to go there. Only when they formed a team with others would they dare to go to the universe battlefield. Thus, Lin Guang Master's 10-man team was generally made up of Principles Masters who had reached the 3rd level of the Void Realm and above. There were also 3 who had reached the 4th level of the Void Realm, especially Lin Guang Master who was in the lead. His strength was not any weaker than Ba Tsang's. He was an expert of the 5th level of the Void Realm. The appearance of the 10-man team on the battlefield changed the situation once again. After Jianghu Shuang's Azura demon god's power was completely exhausted, Lin Guang Master and the other 2 Principles Masters of the 4th realm of the Void came to him. Little guy, go to the back. Leave the Nine-Tailed clan to us, Lin Guang Master, who had silver hair and a graceful figure, said gently. Thank you, Master Lin Guang. Jianghu Shuang nodded gratefully and immediately retreated. Where do you think you're going? Diyu and Desu of the Nine-Tailed clan looked grim. They were about to give chase. Haha, your opponents are us, Master Lin Guang laughed. 2 other experts of the Void 4th realm from his team followed him. Although there were only 3 of them, they were able to easily stop the Nine-Tailed Principles Master of the Nine-Tailed race. No matter what methods the Nine-Tailed race used, they were unable to get rid of Lin Guang Master and the other 2. On the other battlefield, the intense battle between Star River Master and Bai Xing Hall Master was nearing its end. Scram! With a low shout, Bai Xing Hall Master clapped his hands. Spacetime, fire, and earth. 3 types of principal energy stirred wildly at this moment, condensing into a 3-colored phoenix in the blink of an eye. This 3-colored phoenix did not emit the slightest bit of power. This was the perfect embodiment of Palace Master Bai Xing's control over all his energy. After which, this 3-colored phoenix opened its mouth and directly collided with the Star River Master in front of it. This collision shattered the boundless darkness where Star River Master was. A muffled groan suddenly sounded in the boundless darkness. Immediately after, Star River Master's somewhat miserable figure shot out from the boundless darkness. After a long while, the Star River Lord's figure finally regained his footing. His face also carried a trace of paleness as he gritted his teeth and stared fixedly at the Bai Xing Hall Master. Star River, you're really something. After all these years, although your fighting style is still the same as before, your use of the rules has risen to a higher level than before. In particular, you've also made a new breakthrough in your ultimate move. You're really something. Humph, do you think that after all these years I really haven't improved at all? Palace Master Bai Xing sneered. Many years ago she had fought with Star River Master. At that time she had just broken through to the 6th level of the Void, but she had relied on her advantage in terms of realm to forcefully suppress Star River Master. And after so many years, Star River Master had also broken through to the 6th level of the Void, but her strength had also increased quite a bit. It was just that she had not shown it at the beginning. With Heavenly Sword Marquis Spacetime World and Elder Dark Bone rushing over to help, now that Lin Guang Master's 10-man team has also arrived at the battlefield, just their current combat strength alone is enough to deal with the 3 Great Saint Realms, the Sorcerer God Sect, and the Nine-Tailed Clan. It won't be long before those 4 old fellows from Quiet Moon Abyss also arrive at the battlefield. When that time comes, the overall situation will be set. Temple Master Bai Xing clenched his fists. The Temporal Temple was at an absolute disadvantage in this battle. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. After all, they were fighting against the 3 Saint Realms at the same time, so their battle strength was not proportional to each other at the beginning. However, Jianghu Shuang had a universe supreme treasure like the Mountain River map in his hands, and he could also use the spacetime world. When the spacetime world appeared, it was comparable to the battle strength of more than a dozen Principles Masters, which equaled the battle strength of both sides. Then Elder Dark Bone appeared, and Jianghu Shuang's own trump card was also very powerful. The 3 Saint Realms were unable to kill him at the first moment until now. Lin Guang Master's team had arrived. Now, if the 3 Saint Realms did not have any other backup plans, then the Spacetime Temple was already confident of victory in this battle. Galaxy, it seems that this time the 3 Saint Realms will return empty-handed. Temple Master Bai Xing sneered and stared at Galaxy Master. The battle isn't over yet. That Heavenly Sword Marquis is still trapped by us. Isn't it too early for you to say this? Star River Master snorted. Oh, is that so? Palace Master Bai Xing suddenly gave a strange smile. She had already received the message that the 4 Masters of Tranquil Moon Abyss had arrived. Oh! A gust of violent wind suddenly swept across the battlefield. The violent wind swept across, containing a majestic power. It actually directly blew the weaker Principles Masters on the battlefield to the side. Even the stronger Principles Masters were only barely able to stand firm under the violent wind. The violent wind swept across the entire battlefield, causing the fierce battle between the 2 camps to stop. Only then did the violent wind slowly calm down. After the violent wind calmed down, everyone immediately looked over, only to discover that 4 more figures had appeared in the middle of the battlefield. These 4 figures were from left to right. The first was a short hunchbacked old man. This hunchbacked old man's gaze was cold, and there was a cold smile at the corner of his mouth. His body was also surrounded by a strange layer of black fog. The black fog also emitted a stench that made people shudder. The second person had white hair and white eyebrows. His eyebrows were extremely long, and they were so long that they reached his chin. His eyes were very small and his gaze was turbid. His expression was also extremely cold, as if he did not care about anything in his surroundings at all. What was worth noting was that there was a dark red dot between his brows. This dark red dot seemed to contain an endless divine might. The third person looked like a child. He was about the size of a child and looked about the same as an 8 or 9-year-old child. His skin was fair and his hair was tied into a small braid. On his chubby face there was a playful smile. His gaze swept across the crowd with incomparable craftiness. Anyone who was swept by his gaze felt as if they were being targeted by a devil. The last person was an old woman wearing a silver robe and holding a walking stick with the head of a snake. This old woman's body was covered with traces of hiding. Her body was also filled with a deathly aura, as though she could die at any moment. Chapter 3309. The 4 Ancient Immortals. The short, skinny, hunchbacked old man, the white-haired, white-browed, indifferent middle-aged man, the fair-skinned, tender-looking boy, and the lifeless old woman, all 4 of them were extremely strange, and when these 4 people gathered together, it was extremely strange. However, when these 4 people appeared on the battlefield, the huge battlefield immediately quieted down. Whether it was the Principles Masters from the 2 camps on the battlefield or the many experts watching the battle from outside the battlefield, they all looked at these 4 people with shocked expressions. Among the many experts, most of them did not know who these 4 people were, so they had doubts and curiosity in their hearts. However, there were still a few people on the field who recognized these 4 people at once. However, because they recognized them and knew their identities, they were even more shocked. 4 Ancient Immortals. They are 4 Ancient Immortals. Oh my God, it's these 4 old monsters? The 4 Ancient Immortals who followed the Temporal Temple and roamed the Divine Beginning Realm billions of years ago are still alive? It's one thing for them to be alive, but why are they still in the Divine Beginning Realm? With their strength, they should have ventured into the depths of the universe battlefield. Exclamations suddenly rang out in the world. Those experts who had not recognized the 4 before heard the words, 4 Ancient Immortals. From the exclamations, and the entire crowd was completely shocked. 4 Ancient Immortals? Even Jianghu Shuang was shocked. He had not been in the 3rd firmament for long, so he did not know much about the experts in the Divine Beginning Realm. He should not have known about such an ancient existence, But the 4 ancient immortals were from the temporal temple. They had left something in the true martial mystic realm of the temporal island, so Jianghu Shuang knew about their existence. The 4 ancient immortals, like Elder Dark Bone, were experts from the same era as the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance Master, the Temporal Temple Master and the Heaven Ancestor. The Temporal Temple had created the Temporal Temple with great means and fought everywhere. It had a large number of experts under its command, and the 4 ancient immortals were the strongest and most famous. Any one of them was at the level of the 6 void realms, and almost all of them were at the peak of the 6 void realms. To put it bluntly, in terms of strength, any one of them was stronger than the Baixing Hall Master and the Galaxy Lord. The only one who could contend against them in a one-on-one fight, and perhaps even slightly stronger than them, was Elder Dark Bone. However, although Elder Dark Bone was strong, he was only one person. On the other hand, the 4 ancient immortals were 4 people. Moreover, the 4 of them had fought together under the Temporal Temple back then, and their relationship was very close. At that time, the Temporal Temple Master had specially researched a set of joint attack array formation for them. Once this joint attack array formation appeared, it was completely capable of sweeping away Principal's masters. Even old monster Abyssal Bone could only retreat in front of the 4 of them. There were even rumors in the outside world that if the 4 ancient immortals joined forces, they would have the ability to fight head-on even if they encountered a Saint Realm Master. Although this was only a rumor and had not been confirmed since there was such a rumor, then even if the 4 ancient immortals could not reach this point, it would not be too far off. In the center of the battlefield, after clearly seeing the identity of the person who came, the expressions of the experts from the 3 great saint realms all became unsightly. The 4 ancient immortals are actually the 4 of them. Galaxy Master's expression was gloomy. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. We are in big trouble. Any one of these 4 old monsters is in existence at the peak of the 6 states of the void. In a one-on-one fight, none of us are a match for them. And if the 4 of them join forces, they might be able to completely wipe us out. Sky Nether Master also secretly gritted his teeth. It's a pity that almost all of the top experts of our 3 great saint realms have gone to the universe battlefield to explore. It's really hard to find an existence in the divine beginning realm that can fight against the 4 ancient immortals. 8 Treasures Master frowned. The 3 great saint realms were also the overlords of the divine beginning realm. Their foundation and strength were naturally not much weaker than the temporal temple. However, whether it was the 3 great saint realms or the top forces of the divine beginning realm, very few of the truly top experts would always stay in the divine beginning realm. Most of the top experts would choose to go to the universe battlefield after their strength reached a certain level. They would choose to venture into the universe battlefield. This kind of adventure was not going to the periphery of the divine beginning realm. They could return at any time. Most of the top experts would choose to venture deeper into the universe battlefield, into those unknown territories. Once they ventured into the depths of the universe battlefield to explore, it would be very difficult for them to return within a short period of time. There were even some who ventured deeper into the universe and never returned. Almost all of the top principals masters of the 3 great saint domains had gone to the depths of the universe battlefield. Otherwise, with the foundations of the 3 great saint realms, they would be able to send out experts who could contend against the 4 ancient immortals. 4 ancient immortals, haha, long time no see. The 4 of you old geezers haven't died yet? Hearty laughter suddenly rang out on the battlefield. On the battlefield right now, the only person who dared to speak to the 4 ancient immortals in such a manner was naturally Elder Dark Bone. Dark Bone? You actually appeared here as well, and from the looks of it, you're standing on the side of my temporal temple. This is truly rare. Among the 4 ancient immortals, the ancient woman slowly spoke. This old man also doesn't wish to have anything to do with your temporal temple, but that disciple of mine has pleaded repeatedly, and this old man is helpless. Elder Dark Bone said. No matter what, since you're on my temporal temple's side today, our temporal temple will naturally remember this favor, the weathered old woman said, and then turned her head. She looked at the experts of the 3 great saint realms. 3 great saint realms? A cold voice came out of the weathered old woman's mouth. You're the publicly acknowledged overlord of the divine beginning realm, but you've gone through so much trouble to kill a little guy who's only at the level of an immortal saint. Aren't you going a bit too far? Do you really think that our temporal temple has no one? Thanks, those 3 cowardly fellows from the 3 great saint realms. They actually dare to suppress our temporal temple while Lord Temple Master has been roaming the universe battlefield all year round. They are really bold. The fair-skinned boy let out a bewitching laugh. The actions of the three great saint realms over the past few years are indeed a little too much. The cold middle-aged man with white hair and white eyebrows said in a low voice. The simple words of the three men were like the words of a knife, stabbing into the hearts of the experts of the three saint realms. Indeed, Jianghu Shuang was only an immortal saint, but what the three saint realms had done was a little too much. Well, let's talk about it later. Take the little guy named Heavenly Sword Marquis away from here first, and then we'll settle the score with the three saint realms later, the short hunchbacked elder said coldly. Chapter 33:10. Arrived in person, little guy, come with us. The short hunchbacked elder glanced at Jianghu Shuang, completely ignoring the experts of the three saint realms, the sorcerer god sect and the nine-tailed clan. The four of them turned around, apparently intending to leave. The experts of the three saint realms looked at each other, but no one dared to stop them. Even the Star River Master, the Sky Nether Master and the Eight Treasures Master were frowning, but they had no intention of stopping them. They knew very well that since the four ancient immortals had arrived, the experts present were no match for them. They could not stop the four ancient immortals from doing anything. The four ancient immortals wanted to take Jianghu Shuang away, they could only watch helplessly. However, just when everyone thought that the four ancient immortals were going to take Jianghu Shuang away and the battle ended, the four ancient immortals focused their eyes and raised their heads almost at the same time, looking at the void in front of them. A white light appeared out of nowhere. This white light was extremely dense and dazzling. It was like a huge white sun. It was warm and gave people an extremely gentle feeling. Soon after, a human figure slowly stepped out from within this white light. This was a barefooted bald man dressed in a white robe. This bald man's expression was gentle and gave off an incomparably amiable feeling. His eyes were also filled with kindness. He slowly stepped out from within the white light. There was not any earth-shaking might from his body. It was as if he was an ordinary person standing in the air. However, the appearance of this white-robed bald man caused the expressions of the four ancient immortals to become unusually solemn. Elder Darkbone, who was not far away, saw this white-robed bald man and his face could not help but darken. He actually came? When the many experts watching the battle around the battlefield saw this white-robed bald man's appearance and the unique feeling he gave them, they instantly understood the identity of this person. Saint Realm Master. There's no mistake. Only a Saint Realm Master can have such a unique and superior feeling. A Saint Realm Master is here? Oh my God. The entire world was in an uproar. When the experts from the life and death sacred region saw him, a hint of fanaticism flashed in their eyes. Then they all knelt down and said, "Greetings, Saint Master." Saint Master. The Saint Master of the life and death Saint Realm, one of the three Saint Realms, had arrived in person. A Saint Realm Master? Jianghu Shuang narrowed his eyes slightly, but he was not too surprised. He knew very well that his perfect life level was a threat to the three Saint Realms. This time, the three Saint Realms did not hesitate to fight the Temporal Temple to kill him, so they must have been fully prepared. Moreover, Jianghu Shuang had guessed that the Masters of the Saint Realm would be present in person. Now it seemed that it was true. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website mynovelful.com. Thanks. Four ancient immortals, long time no see. A gentle voice came out of the white-robed bald man's mouth. Every word of the white-robed bald man seemed to contain a supreme truth, which made people admire him. Including thunder. The four ancient immortals stared fixedly at the white-robed bald man. They no longer had the calmness they had before. Saint Realm Lords were supreme existences at the peak of the Divine Beginning Realm. In the Divine Beginning Realm, Saint Realm Lords were the representative of invincibility. Even the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance Master, Temporal Temple Master, and Heavenly Ancestor did not dare to underestimate these three Saint Realm Lords in the Divine Beginning Realm. As for Saint Realm Masters, they naturally stood above ordinary Principles Masters. Even though the four ancient immortals were all peak existences of the six realms of the void, they were still far inferior compared to Saint Realm Masters. Seems like the secret hidden within this little fellow has already reached an earth-shaking level. He actually made you, a Saint Realm Master, personally appear. The aged old woman spoke in a low voice. This seat doesn't have any grudges with this little fellow. Unfortunately, the power of the will of the heavenly Tao must kill him. This seat is only following orders, the white-robed bald man said with a smile. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Following orders? The surrounding people were startled, but they soon felt relieved. Although Saint Realm Masters were high and mighty, in fact, many people knew that the reason these three Saint Realm Masters were so powerful was mainly because of the power of the will of the heavenly Tao, the combat strength of these three Saint Realm Masters was actually not very strong. In terms of realms, they were probably only at the 6th level of the Void Realm. However, it was precisely because of the power of the will of the Heavenly Tao that their combat strength far surpassed the 6th level of the Void Realm. 4 ancient immortals, make it convenient for this seat to kill that little fellow. This way this seat will be able to report back. The white-robed bald man smiled. His luck was very calm, as though he was really asking for it. I'm sorry. No matter what, this little fellow is also a member of my temporal temple. The 4 of us old fellows can't just hand him over to you. The old woman said. Oh, is that so? That's a pity. The white-robed bald man sighed lightly, but then he raised his head and smiled warmly as well. Since the 4 of you won't allow it, this seat can only kill the 4 of you first before going to kill him. Hee, that's easy for you to say, but I don't know if you have the ability to do so. The old woman sneered. Quale, your tone is a little too arrogant. The cold middle-aged man said coldly, it's not like the 4 of us haven't fought with you many years ago. At that time you couldn't do anything to us. But now, do you think we are afraid of you? Quale, if you want to fight, we can accompany you. It just so happens that it has been many years since we last fought, the short hunchbacked old man said. Kiki, I'm also very curious. After so many years, have you, a timid fellow like a mouse, improved in strength? The young boy strangely laughed. I will let you guys get what you want. The white-robed bald man laughed, but a fierce glint flashed across his eyes. An endless white light suddenly swept out from his body. This white light was warm and shone in the void, causing the entire world to be in a vast white environment. The white-robed bald man was in the center of this world. His body trembled slightly, and he directly rose to a height of 30 meters, an incomparably holy aura that caused people to worship him spread out from his body. The moment this aura appeared, it immediately caused countless experts in the surroundings to reveal terrified expressions. They could not help but look at the white-robed bald man. In their eyes, this white-robed bald man seemed to have transformed into the ruler of the world, causing them to involuntarily want to kneel down and worship him. Plop plop. The weaker undying saints in the surroundings of the battlefield had already knelt down, while the stronger immortal saints and the principal's masters were forcefully supporting themselves. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 3311, God Puppet Too Terrifying. Is this a Saint Realm Master? We don't even need to make a move. Just the formless power is enough to make us unable to resist. Even I can't help but want to kneel down. The Underworld Emperor's face was flushed red, he muttered. He was already a true principal's master. However, as he stood outside the battlefield, he had the urge to kneel down towards the white-robed bald man. One could imagine how much pressure the immortal saints who were weaker than him had to endure. It could be said that those who could still stand on the battlefield were already considered quite impressive. This lightning is still the same. He likes to use his power to oppress others, the young boy said coldly. After all, he is a Saint Realm Master. None of us are a match for him in a one-on-one fight. Let's use that move directly, the old woman said. All right. The other 3 nodded. In the next moment, the short hunchbacked old man waved his hand, and a golden light suddenly flashed and appeared. This golden light was actually a golden armored figure. It was over 10 meters tall, and its entire body was covered in golden armor. Only a pair of eyes could be seen, but it was currently closed. This golden armored figure appeared in front of the 4 ancient immortals. At first, it did not emit any aura or might, but after the 4 ancient immortals moved and directly merged into the golden armored figure, the golden armored figure immediately came to life, and his eyes, which had been closed the entire time, suddenly opened. The instant he opened his eyes, a sharp golden light, like 2 golden lightning bolts, pierced through the air and shone on the white-robed bald man. At the same time, a terrifying aura that caused everyone present to feel suffocated rose up from the golden armored figure. The golden armored figure also rose up. When the many experts present felt this terrifying aura, their eyes were wide open. How is this possible? This aura is too strong, too strong. I feel that it's much stronger than the aura of a Saint Realm Master. How can there be such a powerful aura? Many gazes filled with shock and disbelief turned towards the golden armored figure. Even the experts of the temporal temple, who were on the same side as the 4 ancient immortals, could not help but be terrified. Is this the strongest technique of the 4 ancient immortals? Jianghu Shuang stood not far behind the golden-armored figure and looked at the golden-armored figure in front of him, his heart filled with shock. In his perception, the aura of the golden-armored figure had indeed surpassed that of the white-robed bald man. The 4 ancient immortals were the 4 strongest war generals under the command of spacetime. Back then they had followed the Temporal Temple Master to create the Great Temporal Temple. And the Temporal Temple Master had specially created a joint attack array for them. The most important part of this joint attack array was to jointly control this golden-armored figure. It could be said that this golden-armored figure was indeed the strongest technique of the 4 ancient immortals. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website mynovelful.com. Thanks. Its power was naturally extraordinary as well. However, unlike the other experts present, the white-robed bald man merely smiled faintly when he sensed the aura emitted by this golden-armored figure. Ruler-level god puppet, the Temporal Temple Master really has nothing to say to the 4 of you. He actually gave this thing to you to control. Unfortunately, although this god puppet's power is world-shaking, the 4 of you are too weak. The last time we met, the 4 of you worked together to control this god puppet, but you could only use about 10% of its power. Now that so many years have passed, I wonder if your control over this god puppet has improved a little. The white-robed bald man still appeared relaxed and content. He was not affected at all by the powerful aura of the golden-armored figure. You'll know whether or not you've improved. The old woman's voice rang out from within the golden-armored puppet. As soon as she finished speaking, the 10-meter-tall golden-armored puppet suddenly leapt forward. Boom! The void beneath the golden-armored puppet's feet exploded, and its enormous body instantly appeared in front of the white-robed bald man. A dazzling golden light suddenly lit up, a golden spear appeared in the golden-armored puppet's hand. Shoo! The sound of air being torn apart rang out, and the golden spear suddenly stabbed out explosively, bringing with it a destructive might. The spear stabbed out, and in an instant the void in front of them shattered, scattering in all directions. A massive spatial black hole appeared in front of everyone, but what was shocking was that the diameter of this spatial black hole was it was hundreds of meters. How is this possible? Isn't this too exaggerated? Visit Readle.me for extra chapters. A space black hole with a diameter of hundreds of meters. This is the most stable third sky in the space of the divine beginning realm. Unbelievable! Countless exclamations sounded at the same time. Many people were frightened by the huge space black hole in front of them. A black hole in space could only be formed by completely shattering space. However, this was the divine beginning realm, not some special mystic realms or small-scale realms. Because of the existence of the heavenly Tao, the space here was extremely stable. For an ordinary principles master, even if he used his full strength, it would be very difficult to cause a piece of space to collapse. Only principles masters who had reached the 5th or 6th level of the void could barely tear apart space. However, even for principles masters who had reached the 6th level of the void, their full strength could only tear apart a piece of space at most. At most, a space hole of a few meters or even 10 meters would appear. This was already the limit. But now, a casual attack was able to create a space black hole of a few hundred meters in diameter. The power of this attack was too terrifying. Interesting. Seeing the golden spear thrusting towards him, the white-robed bald man merely smiled faintly. His entire body was bathed in white light, and his warm palm was stretched out at this moment. Without any fancy moves, his palm actually directly grabbed toward the golden spear. What? Such a terrifying spear using your hand to grab it? What kind of joke is this? Everyone was stunned by this action of the white-robed bald man. Very quickly, the white-robed bald man's palm grabbed onto the tip of the golden spear. At the instant his palm made contact with the golden spear, boom! The sky collapsed and the earth split apart. Endless might frantically spread out in all directions. The space black hole that had originally formed a few hundred meters in size was instantly magnified by more than twice at this moment. Furthermore, an inconceivable devouring power also erupted from within the space black hole. It was crazily devouring everything around it. The entire Saha Island had been torn apart due to the previous battle. However, at least the land was still there. Now, the apocalypse had arrived. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. You're tuning in to the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.